Discord down below for coaching.
Guys, back to another banger, and this is most likely the most important video I think there has ever been in the jungle community. And I say this jokingly, but I am truthfully honest. What will I teach you with this video? I don't want to waste your time and your attention span. I will teach you the only way to truthfully play jungle. Why do I say this? I used to be low elo, I used to be ADC main, I used to be mid main. I switched to jungle 3 years ago, really playing the role 2 years ago roughly, and I've managed to coach myself from masters to low challenger in a year. I've played it longer, but truthfully I've learned this game in itself, which jungling really is, learning the game, in a year. And I coached myself, and I got coached by so many people, either directly or indirectly via YouTube videos, and I'm not kidding. While they do give you the fundamentals, which everyone talks about, yes, that is nice. That is giving you an idea. It's kind of a tutorial into the jungle. Like really, I'm not kidding. It does not give you the tools. They give you a fish for a day and you're fed. They do not give you the tools to actually feed yourself. And this is what I will show you guys today. I will teach you the most important concept, followed by some tools obviously, but the most important concept that you have to understand in order to actually understand the game, and secondly, be able to analyze your own games. I will not talk about this mainstream analyze how to VOD review. All of these questions will be answered in this video. This video is kind of long. If you already clicked away, well, you're not gonna climb anyways. I'm gonna be straight up honest. Just watch Brain Rot Kyrie or whatever. Not saying Kyrie is bad. Not saying that, but he's making very mainstream stuff. Every video of these people is full of, today we are going to focus on jungle tracking, today we're going to focus on this. Makes no sense, we've all seen that. Like one person says ganking the one day, the other person says full clear. No one knows what's really going on. These people are challenger obviously. That is why it's really sad, because apparently they don't know how to teach, or they either gatekeep it. Gatekeeping makes more sense because business wise it's way better, more coaching clients and reoccurring revenue. So they keep coming back for more. I've had so many people come to coaching to me. They've told me they've paid thousands of euros, and I'm not kidding. Anyways, let me stop yapping. The most important video, guys. Alright guys, so what is the fundamental that I'm really talking about? The core concept. I am talking about gold and EXP. Fundamentals are not fundamentals nowadays. They are tools. Ganking theory, pinging, even warding the enemy raptors. Everything you could think about are tools in your toolbox that you essentially use to win the game. Now, how do you win a game? By gaining more golden XP and actually stomping like an actual player. You don't have to full clear like an NPC. You can actually have fun playing the game and being very creative. Why is that so important in the jungle though, this one concept? There is one thing. Laners have to stay in lane for minions. Jungle camps stay. You are literally a support just on steroids because you can actually get strong. That is what jungling is. You are a strong support. Okay? So, in the jungle, it is your job to not only identify every opportunity, it is your job to meet each opportunity which may give you more golden EXP than your baseline camps, and therefore get strong in the game and actually create a lead. Keeping a lead will be the same thing as generating a lead. I to this day do not understand why people talk about keeping leads and generating leads in different views. Overall, good jungling is all the same, and you will only be able to view it like that and actually play it like that and break down the most complex game most likely that is very similar to chess in the jungle so easily once you understand this. So, if the jungler's job is to use the map as a sponge and squeeze out as much of it as possible in every game as he can by using the accurate fundamentals or actually tools such as ganking, therefore it makes no sense at all to any human being who got a good head on their shoulders to think there is a playstyle. I will even go further than that. There is no reactive playstyle. There is no proactive playstyle. I'm actually wrong. There is only reaction in the jungle. Like Kenyon said, the jungler's job is to do nothing but his own camps unless there is a better thing that he can do. And what does he mean by that? Not full clear. If full clearing was the answer, everyone would be challenger. So guys, the most important concept, golden EXP. I will show you guys a game I reviewed yesterday with a Diamond Lee Sin in Europe and showcase you guys through the coaching I did with him how he actually played well, how he didn't play well, how the enemy jungle didn't play well or played well, what every move in the game is supposed to look like, and give you a complete breakdown. I can obviously not show you millions of games, but I can show you this one game, and just with the way I'm viewing the game, you will most likely be fed for life. Not for life, but I will give you the tools to analyze your games. I will give you very high value information. I should charge so much money for this. I'm not kidding, because I had to work weeks on end grinding and figuring the stuff out on my own, because no one teaches it. They all can play it, they are all challengers, but they can't teach it. So I prepared this picture for you. This is my worldview in League as a jungler. The big pie of this entire thing is golden EXP. Every little dot inside of that, whether it is small or big, whether it is like a main thing or maybe, a subcategory of something, these things are ganking, jungle tracking. These are your tools. Everything you could think about, and we've already heard millions of times. Alright, this right here, this is every mainstream coach's view of the game. Not every coach, but mainstream, yes, pretty much. This is their worldview, at least what they're teaching, because actually they don't play like that. That is the sad part. That is why Kira is the Andrew Tate. And so, what is the difference? They don't have a holistic view of the game or a holistic teaching style. They completely leave out the fundamental of golden EXP. They give you the tools, but they don't give you the understanding to actually use these tools and replicate it in your own games. They only view the game through fundamentals, which is a complete misuse of the term, because how can something be fundamental if it's not? If there is something more fundamental. If ganking was a fundamental, everything in jungling would build on top of that. Therefore, there can only be a fundamental, and on top of that we have tools. The term is completely misused, and this is actually the start of the confusion already. This right here, this might be a third worldview. Overall, I think this is just a reaction to being confused from the mainstream worldview. It's kind of a 50-50. Most likely, most people have never thought about the game the way I'm going to teach you though. Overall, my worldview, gold and EXP are at the bottom. They are the biggest part of it. They are actually the entirety of it, and everything comes down to this. So right now, let's go into the game. This is not going to be a coaching re-upload. This is a complete breakdown by a challenger to showcase you guys everything you need to know, and actually you should be able to review your own games no matter which rank you are. In all honesty, you could be bronze, you could be diamond, you could be GM. Unless you are higher ranked than me, don't bother asking questions. I'm kidding. Obviously, you should ask questions. Ask me in the comments. I can be wrong. And I'm gonna sit here and argue, or not argue, but discuss this with anyone in the comments. And really use your brain, guys. I see so many brain rot comments. They just say, oh, yeah, after 2 years, I climbed 1 elo. What the fuck? I learned the role and I climbed to Challenger. How the fuck do you climb 1 elo in 1 year? I'm not saying it's bad, but if your ambition is actually to climb really high and become an actual good player, even if you just want to climb from bronze to gold, like the approach in itself is noob and pro-friendly because it teaches the game, and the game in itself is not hard. Jungling is just misunderstood. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you a gameplay of someone I'm actually coaching currently. He had great results. We talked about ganking, obviously every tool you could think of. But I've realized just today how important it is to understand this concept of golden XP income. And I will show you 3 different examples of his, how he stomped the game, how he lost the game, and overall it doesn't matter what happened, why certain moves were bad and some were good. And actually how some moves were bad but turned out good, and what could have been prevented. Again guys, even in Challenger people make mistakes. Can you imagine what you're missing out on Diamond? And can you actually imagine how you think you play some games good and you still don't improve? Because most likely the moves you go for are not good, but you still won a game. This is the devious thing about League of Legends. You might win a game you played bad and you might lose a game you played good. And this is why a lot of people don't improve. Topping that off with a lot of misconceptions which are kind of spread by even reputable. In this game I will show you a game of his Lee Sin, and I will also show you what the enemy jungler who completely full cleared, sticking to this basic as full clear game style, and how both junglers could have played this game differently. And how it's very logical, even though I'm going to show you the complete best moves how to play this game like a challenge. In this game right here, my client was playing Lee Sin. He started on Raptors. I'm not gonna go too in depth about pathing wise. He started on the red side though. His intention was to play for the bot side. So let's skip ahead here. And once we skip ahead, we will see the first important thing. So I talked about gold and EXP income. As we can see, currently he's doing his red buff. So naturally, after hitting your level 3 spike, usually in games, like him, you wanna look at the bot side right here. His intention was to start on the red side to actually level 3 gank bot side. We're not going to talk about if this was good or bad. We're just going to talk about if he should go for this full clear or commit for this bot lane gank and see what he does and if it was good or not. So, as you can see, he's actually clearing his camp, finishing it obviously. And as you can see, the enemy bot, after killing his support, are basing. At least that's what we have to assume. Right here in this scenario, he makes the correct move to actually go to the top side. But look what happens. Enemy bot is staying. And while this might seem obvious, he's actually committing to the full clear. If though, your support can be in time in bot lane right here, and you're able to dodge the vision which the enemy bot most likely placed in the dry bot, you should go for this gank. Why? If you go for this gank, first of all, ganking theory, let's talk about it. The most important 3 things, the most fundamental things about ganking are, can you get a kill obviously, golden XP. So then you have to figure out, if you go for this gank, it better be a kill, otherwise you might as well clear your camps, right? That is totally correct. So, how are we gonna pull this gank off bot side? First of all, enemy bot killed your support. So therefore, they want to base, but as we can see, they are intending to stay for this crash. So your question now is, can I be in time there? And if I'm there, what is the probability of the kill? First things first, HP. Second thing, wave state. If it's frozen on your side, it's gankable. Otherwise, we only talk about dives if it's pushed in. Still then, it's all about HP and summoner spells. Why? These things will allow you to determine if this gank has a high probability of over 70%, let's say, to succeed. Why 70% at least? You want it to succeed, otherwise you will fall behind because you won't gain anything. So, in this scenario, obviously he's going top side. If his Elise was a little bit closer to bot side, he could actually go bot lane here. And why? They are intending to stay for the wave. This is kind of lame psychology. Once you get experience and you actually know about this, you will get better at this. I won't focus. But first things first, he is sticking to his full clear. As Kenyon said, if no one is fucking up on the map, the jungler's job is to just clear waves, just like laner's job is to clear minions. So, as we can see, he's clearing to his top side, going for his wolves right here. So, let's check out what he does. He ends up doing his wolves, totally fine, like Kenyon said. In terms of golden XP, the jungler's job is to have a steady income, but once someone fucks up or there's anything on the map, he should go for the play. How many people, logically speaking, even pro coaches, advocate for a full clear? Nearly everyone. And while it might not be wrong and it's a steady income, it is certainly not the best way to play the game. As you can see, he did his worst because there was nothing on the map. At this point though, and thank God because I coached him, he recognized what is the point of doing my blue or gromp here when the Warwick is on top side. Look at the wave state. Frozen for Mundo, he's holding the wave. Look at the sums. Warwick has every sum in the game. Everything is up. So that is not that good. And look at the HP. So this is ganking Fury again. The point still is though, he does not stay for his camps because in terms of the tools that he has, which in this case is ganking, are literally burning. Like you have to gank this. There is a certain time window associated with every play but full clearing. And you have to identify if you have time for it, and if you do, if in terms of jungle tracking, in terms of ganking, in terms of wave state, in terms of damage, all these things that these fundamentals are about, if they are ticked, if the boxes are ticked, and if this is going to succeed or not, and kind of make an educated guess. Obviously, this takes experience, but I think it comes more obvious to say for someone who's not experienced, just full clear his camps here and not take the chance if he actually thinks it should work out, and actually learn from the gank if it worked out, what he could have done better, and if it didn't, if it made sense in the first place, or if it was just an executional fail, mechanical on the gank. That is how jungle is supposed to be played. And jungle is the most high IQ role because you have so many things going on the map and you have to use the tools in combination with assessing if it's worth in terms of gold and XP, whether you should go for these things or not. So again guys, fundamentally, ganking, all of these fundamentals, full clearing, they have a place. But you have to be able to identify when to use these things and actually not put yourself in a box of certain playstyles of perma-ganking or perma-farming, which is the usual kind of generic advice. So right here, since we can do our gromp or our blue and finish the full clear, like we will look at the Ramos after we are done with the Lee Sin, which the Ramos doesn't actually force behind. Instead of doing that, he identifies, I could do my camps, but what is the point of doing my camps here if I can just get a free kill on top side because these boxes are ticked, the wave state HP. The summoner spells in this case do not matter because the wave state is just another way of determining if the enemy has time to escape. Even though the Warwick is flashed, it's a long lane on top side, so even if it flashes, we still got flash, Mundo has ghost, right? So overall, this gank is a no-brainer. Regardless though, as we will look at the Ramos, who is just a brain-rotted full clearer, most likely because you watch too much YouTube, is going to fall behind, and Lee Sin, as you can see, is going topside here. So let's see what happens. He's going topside. As we've established, this is a good gank. Why HP and wave state are really, really good here. He ends up hitting a nice Q. Regardless though, this is gonna still work out, even if he missed it most likely. So what happens now? So, he doesn't have to shove in his next wave. Warwick has no TP. First things first. He cannot gank mid. He's on top side. Now he will resort to his camps. Why? Because there is no information on the map that is telling him to use any sort of fundamental. He can't invade the Ramos. I think he had no vision of him anyways in the early game. So that fundamental, that tool, falls out of the window. Process of elimination. He cannot gank anything. He's literally on top side and he had invested time already. So it's really a fine line of balancing these two things and many more things, but I'm trying to keep it as basic as possible because that's the best way to learn the game. So as you can see, Ramos is doing the same, and look at Ramos. He is doing a full clear, and I'm not saying it's bad. He actually has time for his full clear right now, because if you look at the bot wave state, this is going to remain for the next 10 to 15 seconds, so he has time to do his camp and still gank bot. If the Corki wouldn't go for this ward and he would hardcore initiate a shove, the Ramos should never do his blue buff here and actually be on bot side to punish Lee Sin being top side, because it's a 3v2 bot lane, and the bad enemy wave state, and kind of decent setup he has on bot side, right? Look at Corki's HP, he's low as fuck, the wave state is awesome. Do they have stumps? Yes, but so do the enemies. Rammus has a great setup here, so overall this gank should succeed. Since the Corki goes for ward though, now he has time to do both. They are not crashing this wave anytime soon, and he can peacefully finish his full clear. So he can actually get the gold from his camp and gank bot afterwards. Okay, very important. All of this is about gold and EXP. What's the point of Rammus forcing a gank bot side now if he can just finish his full clear, knowing very well that Lee Sin is top side and he has the time in the world? So let's look at what happens here. Lee Sin, while all of this is happening, is obviously clearing his top side camps here, and let's see what happens. So Lee Sin is clearing his blue buff. As of right now, his job really is to ping his bot side. This is kind of important, this is kind of off topic, still very important. It is so obvious that Rammus, if he hasn't been topside yet, is bot side. Why? Well, we have to assume the worst. And the only way for Rammus to kind of get even with Lee is to pull this gank off bottom. Look at the wave state and overall the HP on bot side here. This is why it's so troll. Look at what their bot lane is doing. Elise is initiating a fight on a board, knowing damn well there's a 50-50 chance of Rammus being here most likely. And they have no reason at all to do this. They very well know Lee Sin is topside, and they're just coin flipping the most brain-dead fight. Let's not even talk about them possibly losing this 2v2 here, because Korka is looking pretty bad right now, and Kai'Sa still has barrier, right? So, Lee Sin's job though here is to ping this off. Rammus' job is to gank this, right? As we've established, he has more than enough time, and he actually ganks bot side here. Is the gank execution great? I mean, nothing more he can do, right? Let's not talk about his bot lane actually kind of ending this fight. Overall though, great gank by Rammus, he did what he could. So, while all of this is happening, I want you to take a close eye on mid lane. And I will actually go back here. You will actually now see Lee Sin, while all of this is happening, obviously he can't be bot side. He started Raptors leashless. So his objective in a usual game state, where nothing is on the map, obviously is to go to his Raptors, then into his Crux, and then for a recon most likely. Unless there's a really easy gank for him. Most likely though not. Right here though, he actually knows, okay, I'm going to cross to my bot side anyways, to my Raptors. Is it worth, in terms of gold and EXP, to skip my Raptors for a couple of seconds and invest that time to kill the Ryze in mid lane? So, and again, another fundamental, weighing the options of instantly clearing your Raptors or ganking mid. Let's look at both options. Rammus is on bot side. It's not like he finished the grab and he's already in fog of war, possibly invading Lee Sin's Raptors, because they actually had a ward and the respawn time is 4 minutes. So, the enemies know his Raptors are up, but there is no way Rammus is taking his Raptors when he's literally on bot lane right now. Lee Sin, knowing this, very well establishes a gank here. Why is this gank good? I don't want to go too in depth about ganking theory, but honestly, we still have to talk about the tools, right? And ganking is a very big one. Ganking most likely makes up 50% of a jungler's toolbox, while 25% are clearing camps, and then there's some other stuff, but let's not go too in depth about that. Right here, this gank is good, because first of all, the setup is awesome. Second of all, the damage is awesome. Paired with the RCC and the insane burst Lee Sin and Ahri have, this Ryze is very well in kill range here, making this gank worth. Again, when do you gank when you have shit to do? Only when it gives you more than the shit that you have to do, meaning your camps. Obviously, this is a great gank if it works out, because it sets Ryze behind, it gives them a lead, and sets Ahri even further ahead, making a big gap just like he did on top lane. So, instead of going to his Raptors, he initiates a gank mid because of their setup and actually the HP of the Ryze. The wave state isn't great at all. This is where kind of champion identity comes into play. If Lee Sin was not Lee Sin, and let's say he was a Graves, or maybe Ahri was a Yuumi, very over exaggerated, but the point is, League is so complex while being very simple. It is only complex if you view it through a very complex lens. In actuality, if you view it simply, the action of going mid in itself is great, as we have established. The gank in itself, because he has time for it, and the time investment is going to be very low for possibly a high reward, and actually it being a very, very likely thing, all it takes is for them to hit the spell to kill his Rise, is very worth to go for. Gives you way more and actually wins you the game than going to your Raptors here. And again, Rammus is bot side. It's not like he's going to counterplay and take his camps here. So he's going mid lane here. Let's see what happens. First of all, great ganking angle by him, obviously walking behind the Rise. And as you can see, obviously the Rise has flash. Could he have flashed this Q? Yes. Would this be bad for Lee Sin? Investing 5 seconds, maybe 8, maybe 10 if you want, to get this flash and setting himself up for the rest of the flash cooldown to have so much more threat on Rise. Is that worth, even if it doesn't kill him here and he flashes his Q? Certainly it is. This is up to you though. Do you think it is worth to invest 2 minutes to get Rise's flash in mid? Well, obviously that's not worth it at all, and it's not very realistic, but just so you get my point, the time investment and possible gain and counterplay by the enemies is perfect here. They have no counterplay to this, Rammus is bot side. He's investing very little time, and overall ganking theory wise, as we have established with their 2v2 and their actual gank ability of this lane, makes this a great gank. And since Rise actually is greedy and doesn't want to waste his flash, because obviously laners value the flash a lot, because wasting it would mean that you are very susceptible to ganks, makes this a free kill. So, great execution by Lee Sin, hitting his Qs. Obviously that's another thing, mechanical execution. Overall though, this is easy to train. It is very obvious. The point of this video is to showcase you guys how easy this game truly is. And don't forget about the part where we'll talk about how Lee Sin sometimes misplays as well and what the Rammus should have done in this game. This is the first big point in the game, where Lee Sin is making a misplay. What is the point of basing when his bot side camps are up? He is literally next to Raptors. I asked him, I coached him today and I asked him what was his intention in terms of gold and EXP. His answer was he had roughly 1.5k gold, which is valid. But this is where it kind of showed me, and I've coached him before, so I'm kind of reprogramming his brain right now. I coached him before and he told me the intention behind the base here was because someone told him, or he picked this up from some video, that if you have a lot of gold, which he has 2 kills and his entire full clear, he had roughly 1.6k gold that he should base to be as strong as possible on the map again. Now, let me ask you, basing here and going back to your bot side camps, or not basing and finishing your bot side camps, what is better? And this is where the game sort of becomes complicated. Once you understand that it's all about gold and XP though, it really should be very obvious to you what the play here is. So, if the intention is to base to be as strong as possible on the map, and there's going to be another tool, jungle, camp, respawn timers and jungle tracking, that we have to apply here to actually make sense of this. If we established Rammus' bot, we are literally next to our respawn bot camps, and we still want to base, what is the point of it? His answer was to base, be as strong as possible on the map, return to bot side and play for Drake. Now let me ask you, Rammus will go base. Why? His camps will respawn on the top side. There is no reason at all for Rammus to stay bot side any longer. So, therefore, why would he not stay on the map here, even if he had 3000 gold, and just do his Raptors and his Crux, and then base perfectly in sync, leaving the option of going to Drake out of base still open, while also in the long term being up on gold and EXP, because these camps actually give you a bunch of EXP, allowing you to get your 6 spike faster, and in the short term actually come out of base most likely with a longsword more, while in the process not losing anything. What is the potential loss here if he goes to Raptors and Crux? Rammus is going back to his topside camps. His Crux will respawn at 420, his Raptors at 440. So by Lee Sin basing here, he's literally just wasting time to be strong on the map when he can just spend the time clearing his camps here, getting more golden XP in the sequence before basing, and actually then putting his camp on a respawn and actually being on Drake at the correct timing. Remember, it's 4:20 he's basing here. Like, Drake is up at 5 minutes. Even if he arrives at Drake like 10 seconds too late, Rammus will be topset, even if Rammus ran out of base straight to Drake, and it's perfectly on spawn. It's not like the Drake will disappear as soon as he hits it. It takes a long time. Therefore, this is a huge mistake, and something I see a lot regarding base timers. People do not understand the core fundamental of golden EXP. If they would instantly recognize what is the point of basing here when I can just get stronger and actually clear my camps in this example. I've done a lot of work, there's nothing on the map, and for the next 40 seconds, there won't be a Drake anyways. So let's just do my camps, put them on a respawn and get as strong as possible. So that was his first big misplay here. Let me just establish one thing. If he did his camps and out of base, he would also leave himself open of the option of either going to Drake directly, going into Rammus jungle if the situation presents itself as good, potentially even giving the Drake if for whatever reason his mid or bot is inting and playing for his topside camps and potentially a top lane gank again, right? This is how jungling works. The reason why he's going to have so many options is because in the jungle, if you're making the correct move based on golden EXP and using the tools like ganking correctly, which is only possible once you flew the game through this lens of golden EXP, it will always leave you open with the options, therefore placing you in the right place at the right time if you then make the correct decision, right? Obviously, if you go to Drake or to your top side, depends on a couple of factors. Overall though, it comes down to the same stuff. In terms of golden EXP, is this Drake worth skipping my camps over? Obviously, then the question is, if the Rammus can take a topside camps for a Drake, it's a 50-50 kind of. I would even argue it's kind of bad because it delays your level 6 spike, but that can be up to debate. Overall, your thought process then is again the same stuff. If I go for the Drake, what do I potentially lose in terms of golden EXP and is it worth it? Could I just do my camps on topside and then go into Drake? Because that's where Rammus will path also, matching my pathing with his, and actually since I'm so strongly having received 2 kills and resetting all my camps, so even in EXP, he's on the same page as Rammus, even though the Rammus literally full cleared and he did 2 ganks, right? This is the devious thing. Full clearing does not give you anything if you miss out on ganks. Lee Sin didn't. Rammus kind of also didn't, but Lee Sin just identified really hard moves way better and used his champion's ability. Therefore, Lee Sin is in a great spot. Now with this move, he is making a big blunder here. No reason at all to do this. As you can see, his bot side camps are up. I will show it on vision here. And as we can see, his Raptors are up, his Crocs are up, and Rammus is basing right now. Therefore, he should have stayed. All about gold and EXP. In connection with the fundamentals of ganking, jungle tracking, and you name it. But you all know about these fundamentals. It's really about this lens. So, as we can see, Lee Sin is going back to spot side. Why is this bad as well? In terms of golden EXP, the play of staying bot side, with all the other things we've talked about, Drake, and actually Rammus being topside anyway, so there's no hurry for the Drake. He's now based next to his Raptors, basing his 8 seconds, walking back to his camps over here is roughly 20. The same for the Grom, same for the Crocs, same for the Raptors and the Wolves, roughly 15 to 20. So he just spent 30 seconds just to walk to the same side of the map when he could already be on top side. Or if he wanted to, it could be on Drake. It really depends what he wanted to do. Either way, he would be way better in the game right now. And it made no sense at all to base here. And as we can see, he's now forced to go for the Drake. Rammus did 2 camps and he is forcing Drake. The enemies had full vision. This is kind of another tool that you need in your toolbox. Giving or getting an objective. What is the fundamental behind that? that tool. That is not the fundamental of the entire game, but it is a tool. Do I go for an objective or not? It's about your proximity lanes. Overall, it's about numbers. Do you have numbers advantage? Even if you're on the back foot, if you're up in numbers, you have to imagine it like you have most likely at this game state, if Ryze was dead and Ahri was alive and Ryze was nowhere near to contest his Drake, this literally means the enemies have, let's say Ryze has 3k gold. If he's dead here, the enemies are down 3k gold in terms of gold, and let's not even talk about the spells and the EXP. And the enemies have, like the Lee Sin in this example, let's say Ryze was dead, they have an Ahri, right? If she actually plays the Drake fight good or not, we don't know, right? This is like kind of the thing, it's still a team game. At the end of the day though, going for this Drake is so flip. Mid lane, there is no advantage. It's not like Ahri is full HP and Ryze is 1 HP. Enemy bot lane can move anytime they want. They just cleared the wave and they will now move into Drake if they really want to. And Rammus right here is on bot side. He's 10 seconds away from Drake, and remember, they still haven't started Drake. They just walked there. So right here, he's starting Drake 3, or we could say 4v4, but he has a losing mid here, and not a large enough advantage. And look at his XP. Lee Sin is level 4, Rammus is 5. This is a consequence of Lee Sin not just staying for his Raptors and Krugs and then going for the Drake out of base. So as we can see, he's literally doing Drake, flipping this. Ryze does not give a shit. Rammus, I will show you the vision right now. Rammus is literally full clearing his wolves and now he is moving. Same concept. When should he go for wolves? Certainly not now, because now he's losing a Drake for one camp. In terms of golden EXP, this is horrific. And this is the point, guys. There is no playstyle. Jungle in its essence is reactive. Jungle is never proactive. Jungle is just reactive. Why? Because you're reacting to the state of the map, using your tools in your toolbox, whether you gank, whether you do this or that, and it's all based on gold and EXP, and if it's worth to use that tool, and if it's actually doable, right? So right here, Rammus just gave away Drake for one camp. I think we all know, I don't even have to like put the numbers up what a camp is worth and what one Drake is worth, especially in the long term with the soul. But Rammus could have already been in Lee Sin's face with a great advantage of being one level up, but now he's too late, because most likely some educational guy told him to full clear his camps, which again is not wrong. In this example though, it is really wrong. And let's not even talk about the Ryze who does not give a shit and is not moving. I know Ryze is low, but he's not low to the point where he cannot move here ever and use his spells, especially in the 4v3 essentially. So, as you can see, Rammus, like Lee Sin should die here. I don't know where this Rammus is running. He's running around the fucking pit. If Lee Sin had flash, you would not catch him anyways. So this is why they actually end up killing the Bard here, and this is why I think they even kill Kai'Sa here. Rammus is literally not even playing the game here, and let's not even talk about their mid laner. So this play right here, I didn't even really recognize it in the coaching, was a complete consequence from 1 minute ago when he decided that he wanted to play for Drake, completely dropping the entire philosophy which this game is based around. Certainly jungling is about thinking about the future, thinking about Drakes 1 minute ahead, 30 seconds ahead, depends on the play, right? Rammus, on the early game, he finished his blue because in 20 seconds ahead in time in the future, he would still be able to gank bot, which he did, right? This example though, Lee Sin based, completely dropping the fundamentals of overall golden EXP, thinking he has to be proactive. No. So, as you can see, this is the thing. He made a bad play, but Rammus did so as well. Lee Sin made the play of being hyper aggressive and going for plays which are really anything but good and more so hopeful. And Rammus just went for the typical brain rot full clear, disregarding completely golden EXP. In that case, Lee Sin is slightly more aware of what is worth, but the execution here was totally wrong. So as we can see, Lee Sin got completely rewarded, because at the end of the day, I have to say this, the jungle who is full clearing and the jungle who's kind of proactive, even though that is not a thing, he was really reactive, even though in a bad type of way here. is going to get punished. If you are a full clear ape, you will actually get gapped, even by a proactive jungler, if you want to call it like that, who's making a bad proactive play, right? So, let's talk about this example. Rammus died, Lee Sin based. Both obviously going to be back on top side, right? So even though you don't see Rammus, this is where his camps are. This is another fundamental. You guys can see I'm kind of like jumping around topics, around especially the tools, the fundamentals, if you would like to call it like that, of ganking, jungle tracking, and all of that. But we all know that. Why is it good that Lee Sin, after chunking out Rammus, is staying on crops? This is really important, guys. Lee Sin's entire bot side camps are up right here. Okay, as we can see. In terms of golden XP, if Rammus was on bot side and Lee Sin had time to walk to bot side, preventing him taking his camps, and after contesting that, obviously with his team, if he can, and he for sure can, it's not like the Rammus has 20 kills, he should never do crops here. As you can see, they end up fighting a lot. Rammus is top side. So the tool in the toolbox here fundamentally is jungle tracking. Rammus is top side, so this is free, and in terms of golden XP, the Rammus is not taking his camps. So Lee Sin is gaining something while not giving something up, right? If Rammus was bot side here and he wasn't fighting with Ahri to the death, right? And we should assume he's bot side if he has not shown top side here. This would be a bad crop. Like, I don't want to say it's bad, but in terms of golden XP, and this is what really good junglers actually do, they would walk straight bot lane here, maybe take one crop with smite, which is more than enough, and not give the Rammus room to breathe and actually counterplay this. And this is where it shows. Lee Sin is still on top side, and I'm kind of showing you the full vision of the map. Lee Sin, right now, he even knows his bot side. Rammus ends up going for gank, which is really bad, and he didn't gain anything. Golden EXP. He ganked really badly. And Lee Sin is now freely taking his raptors, which is also not good, because he should be worried about basing going bots ASAP. First of all, Rammus could, instead of going for this dive here, take his bots at camps. Since this dive is not that bad, I believe, actually it's really horrific, even if it was good, Lee Sin could have already been here. All of this, what's happening on bot side, is completely up to randomness. Lee Sin stayed for crap and for his raptors. That is more than 30 seconds. He could have already been on bot side here, completely taking control of the game. The only reason why Lee Sin's move here of staying here is good at this point is because now he's too late. He should have instantly based after crops, knowing, okay, Rammus wasted time fighting with Ahri, and going into his jungle, and in that process he would have just countered bot lane because the Rammus made it really obvious. So instead of taking his camps, obviously he would have counter ganked that. So we can see both junglers are playing very suboptimally. At this point, it's really about which jungle is playing less suboptimally. And in this case, it was the Rammus. Overall, though, both junglers really disregarded this rule. At this point, Lee Sin is going for a great dive here. I really like this. The only reason why it's good is because he was already on top side and Rammus was dead. Overall, though, him staying this long top side could have ended up in him losing camps on bot side and potentially his bot lane getting dove and the enemy's not hard controlling the dive. So as we can see here, everything of this is based on golden XP. Why would Lee Sin have based after crops? In order to counterplay Rammus taking his bot side camps, because in terms of jungle tracking he must have been there. There was nothing top side up and Lee Sin took the crops. And actually to spend his gold as well at this point, and it's not worth for him to have stayed for raptors if the Rammus could have taken everything on his bot side and dive his bot lane. It's all about golden XP. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but that's really what it is. Let's actually go back a little bit here, because Lee Sin makes another big error here in my opinion. Lee Sin, after all of this, after this dive, he actually intends to base for Drake. Since Drake roughly at this point is 1 minute until it spawns, Lee Sin is opting right here to do his raptors, do his red, do his crux and base for Drake. Drake is roughly 1 minute here. Let me ask you something. At this point they have a huge lead. Let's not forget that. But even if they didn't and the game still was even, what would be their best play in terms of golden XP while still being able to play for this Drake? Because certainly they want to, right? They have the lead, so they should certainly get objectives. Instead of going for the stock standard quadrant clear here, Lee Sin should recognize Rammus is dead. I don't have to protect my bot camps anymore. I'm already next to Raptors though. If the Drake is 1 minute, in terms of gold and DXP, let me get as much as possible while still syncing my base in a type of good way and a good timing with the Drake, and have a good base and clear as many camps as possible here and use this downtime while Rammus is dead. Instead of like Lee Sin going for his Raptors, Red, Crux, he should have done Raptors, Wolves, Blue, Cromp, base for Drake. If it's not enough time, maybe he skips one topset camp here. Overall though, it's all about golden DXP, and in order to maximize golden DXP, he needs to use the tool of jungle tracking. Rammus is dead, we know Drake is spawning 1 minute, his topside camps are down anyways, but regardless, if Lee Sin is doing Raptors, Red, Crux and bases and goes to Drake, Rammus can freely give up this Drake, take Lee Sin's entire topside and potentially even dive the Mundo. He can still dive the Mundo, at least without topside camps though, if Lee Sin just recognizes it's all about golden XP. Okay, jungle tracking wise, he can go to Drake. If he gives it up, which most likely should happen unless he's inting, but this is diamond so he might. Regardless though, best play for him is to counterplay Rammus' only counterplay to the Drake, which is most likely theirs, look at their lead, by doing Raptors, and instead of his Red and his Crux, which is completely safe, Rammus will never be able to take it, and the Raptors are also gone, taking his topside after Raptors and then basing for Drake. Why is this way better? Lee Sin by that time will be on his red buff, after that on Drake, maybe even before that on Drake. Overall he will be on the same side where his camps will be while doing Drake, and the other side of the map where Rammus could trade camps for giving Drake, there won't be any camps left. So you guys can see, I don't want to say these fundamentals are useless, such as ganking and jungle tracking. Not at all actually, it's the complete opposite. This is how you play jungle. Overall though, you really need to understand this one thing, golden XP, and it's so simple once you understand it. Because why is it so important while being so simple? Because it's the core of everything in the game, and only viewing the game through this type of lens will actually allow you to be able to identify what your pathing should be, what your ganks should be, and you will be able to coach yourself even. If you just watch your replays in terms of golden XP, you might do a gank and it might be the greatest gank ever. And you might think, damn, I ganked but I lost this game. Well, maybe the gank was possible, but you might have just lost your entire bot side camps, let's say, and the Drake for it. So in that case, you recognize, okay, it's not a playstyle issue. It's like understanding issue of me using a tool like ganking just at the wrong time in terms of golden XP. Obviously, jungle tracking is also important. If the enemy jungle is dead and he cannot take your camps, then the gank is suddenly good because you might have time to squeeze that in before basing and protecting your camps. So you guys can see, all of this misconception is really revolves around not understanding what the game is about. I have plenty of videos talking about ganking, jungle tracking, full game breakdowns, and these videos are awesome. But I've recognized people are so confused because they don't understand how and when to use these tools, especially when, because they lack the understanding of what is important, and it's golden XP. So guys, this game is coming to its end. At this point, I think this is the biggest thing so far. We can just play it through. As you can see, this is why League is so devious. And Lee Sin thought he played a great game. He certainly played better than Rammus, but Rammus was really just worse, and Lee Sin not really that much better. As we can see, the enemy bot, after Lee Sin having stayed for his bot side camps, ends up inting, and he gets rewarded with a double kill. They killed 2 members here, and now he stays for Drake. Overall, this was a completely random misplay by the bot lane. Rammus was topside anyways. At least Lee Sin could have just pinged his bot side if actually Rammus is bot side. He could have just danger pinged bot side, used his chat and told his team, hey, I'm coming late. I know what you guys are going to say, my teammates don't listen. Still, in the jungle, you have to keep up your own game pace. You cannot sacrifice your game for teammates. You just do what's good for the game in terms of golden XP. So overall, him getting kills here. 1 minute ago, the best play was to go for Raptors and his topside. At this point, this play is the best, but it's by far not the greatest. It's a really random flip. And this is why, for him, for example, even though he has great games, in a game like this, he's stomping, but he really didn't play like he should have. Obviously, I'm nitpicking. Not everyone is challenger. Not everyone is rank 1. So even a rank 1 is better than me, obviously. I'm not rank 1. But overall, everything below challenger, this is what people are missing. This is not what's going to lose you games. Again, with Listin here, we've actually had different coaching points. But I'm just trying to give you like the full entire breakdown of jungling. Another big thing is, his biggest thing was he had really great early games. Like way better for the elo that he's playing in, right? So the issue was not him doing everything correctly. His issue was actually getting these types of leads, even if at times they were kind of random and the enemy jungle obviously wasn't challenged and punished him. His kind of problem was to throw leads and getting leads like this and throwing them. But that's really what happens when you don't play the game like I just told you to. As we just established, if he's going to rank up this list and he's playing against master players at some point, maybe GM players, because master players are still kind of lost, even GM players. Master players or GM at some point, they will punish him and then he will plateau, and it will all resort to the same stuff I'm telling you guys right now. So yeah, and this was not his problem, it still is not good jungling. And I think this is, even though what I'm telling you right here is really, really the core thing and really the only thing you have to understand about jungling in terms of really understanding the role, and anything else is just pure application experience and kind of mechanics. This is really what it's about. Everything I've told you guys is about golden XP. Obviously ganking, that needs experience, that's mechanics. But we all know what these things are. Every video is filled with this rubbish. Not rubbish, but it's really every video, educational stuff for jungling is the same. And what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, when do you actually use these things these people talk about, such as ganking, and when not? That's really what it comes down to. What I just told you, golden XP. I think this is like understandable. I hope it is. Obviously, applying stuff is very different. But what is the point of applying stuff if you really don't know if it's good or not at the end of the day? And this concept, understanding this, will for sure solve your problem. To a large degree, I think it will completely solve anyone's problem. I think if someone is really disciplined, and just like me, I've never been high elo, and like first time I've ever been high elo was when I realized this, and I skyrocketed. I wasn't rank 1, I peaked low challenger. Regardless, this is the point. This is how I actually improved jungling on my own. I received coachings and I realized they are not helping me. They tell me about ganking, they tell me about things. Some games coaches couldn't even really tell me what the best play was, I felt like. And sometimes they straight up told me, and I got coached by good people, right? Like actually very well-known people. But I recognized on my own, this is not the solution. And I came up with this on my own. I have never seen anyone advocate for this kind of thinking, even though it's the right thing. I think the problem is a lot of coaches are great players, but coaching-wise, they are kind of lacking the teaching aspect, which coaching is really about. Not mainly, but there are good approaches, and then there are suboptimal approaches, which might still be optimal, and there are great approaches. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm the greatest coach. I'm just sitting here and saying, if anyone disagrees, feel free to disagree, but tell me how. And actually let me know what I am wrong about and why. I'm waiting for the day, because I don't think the day will come. Even though some people are kind of beefing with me or think I'm talking shit sometimes. Unsure. But yeah, guys. Funny enough and very ironic, I offer coaching. Why am I offering coaching if this video should help you? Coaching is just a way of improving your progress. I actually offer like normal prices, not like 130 per session, which is ridiculous for a video game. So if you really want to improve, feel free if you want to. If not, whatever. I mean, that's up to you, right? Link is down below to my Discord. If you want to get coached, just hit me up over there. The pricing is in the Discord as well. There are many testimonials if you don't believe me. If you still don't, that's up to you. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. And even if you obviously don't get coaching, give me free money. If you implement this, the only thing that is going to hold you back is really being curious about the game, which involves having fun and learning stuff and really putting in the time. I would say mentality, people who struggle with being tilted, this is also a big thing. I'm not a psychologist. I cannot tell you how to fix it. Everyone has different approaches. Overall though, once you understand this, the only thing holding you back is really being curious and actually, I hate the term disciplined. But at the end of the day, being curious is a combination of being curious, which involves being or has a prerequisite of having fun at discovering new stuff and actually being curious about improving and actually being resilient. If you were not resilient, you wouldn't be curious, and therefore, if you're not curious, you wouldn't improve, even if you knew this. Because if you're not resilient and curious, you wouldn't bother after this video watching your replays and trying to figure this out, or even get my coaching. It's really cheap. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one, and let me actually know what you want to see for the next video. Bye bye.
Discord down below.